What do I do with my? What do I? With my hands.
Well, they don't go there. I can tell you that much right now.
I think the car drove real good. I think we did fine out there. It was good.
All right, these guys aren't John C. Riley, and I'm not Will Ferrell, but this is BV Dub, the best damn jockstrap nerd chat radio show on the internet. Don't know why I said radio, because that's stupid, because we're not on the radio whatsoever.
You don't
But-
know that.
iTunes is like the radio for the internet machine.
On the internet radio, I'm Justin. To my right, we got Chris. Say something. To my left, we got Joel.
Hi guys.
Now let's go ahead and get started. Joel, what do we got first?
Well, with the release of the Nintendo Switch being right around the corner here in March, we decided we wanted to go through that a little bit, talk about the Nintendo Switch, what we're looking forward to, what we're a little bit having reservations on. But let's start with the hardware.
So I got the hardware pulled up right here. and,
Okay.
I think it's no surprise to anybody that there's nothing shocking about the hardware. I mean, it's not 8 teraflops of processing power. Not that anybody here knows what teraflops are. I don't know what teraflops are. I don't know. Do you know what teraflops
I have
are?
a vague
Joel?
idea of what they might be.
Okay, please tell me.
I
sir.
feel
What is
like
a
they
teraflop?
are an exaggerated, an exaggerated large amount that you're making up right now.
No, that's a real thing.
Well, I know, but I don't think you know what it is either.
No, I don't. I have no idea. That's the funny thing about
Which
it.
is why I'm saying you're making it up.
But I'm not making it up. It's a fact because the
not a
the
fact if you don't actually know
Scorpio
it.
the
It's an
Scorpio
arbitrary
has
number you
6
just threw out.
teraflops of processing power. That's what I know for a fact. Do I know what that means? No, I do not.
Sounds like a lot.
It sounds like a lot. Like it's definitely more than a billion, right?
Who decided that a flop was going to be a unit of measurement for power? Because that's just a ridiculous.
Because
thing.
we used to run off of floppy disks.
It went from bytes to flops, like real quick.
You go bytes, gigs, or bytes, megs,
feel-
gigs.
I feel like that's like dropping off a cliff. Bytes makes gigs, flops.
Well, surprisingly, this is not going to flop. You already can't get these.
But anyway, the point we're trying to get across is that it's not going to blow you away with the processing power like Microsoft and Sony are trying to go for right now. They're really trying to go with that 4K display and have more powerful consoles. But Nintendo Switch is very much more concentrated on their own type of thing, which Nintendo always has been.
Which, can you really be surprised at all? I mean, every Nintendo game, console, anything that's ever come out, it's their demo is families. It's not hardcore
Yeah.
gamers. It's not, which even hardcore gamer I don't really particularly like, and I kind of feel dumb for using that term because it's a silly thing. Because most people think of hardcore gamers as what is it, Counter-Strike, or is that what it is? Yeah,
Yeah, Counter Strike.
that's on
like anything
That's-
along
that's
those
any kind of
lines,
shooter
Half-Life.
of some sort. Which,
Anything really Valve centered.
Yeah. But it seems silly to use that kind of term to begin with, but that's neither here nor there. It's I guess I'm somewhat excited for it because I have the Wii U and I don't think I've used it in like 6 or 7 months. And part of it is because there's no games that really pull me towards it because I'm visually for me I like games that are really pretty. I've always been big fans of Assassin's Creed. I'm a huge fan of For Honor, which we've been playing a lot recently. And there's things like those are the kind of games that I really like. I didn't play Fallout a lot, but I played it a little bit. It's another gorgeous game. So with the Nintendo, I think you have to understand that when you're getting into a system that producer, you're not going to get that. But you're going to get a really fun game. And I remember all throughout college, I had a fantastic time playing Smash Brothers or Mario Party, and there's
Played the hell out of Smash Brothers and Mario Party.
Exactly.
But a lot of the times we were just playing on old consoles. Like we were playing
Like on N64.
Yeah, we were playing 64. Like the
Yeah.
64 Mario parties, they still hold up. They're
So perfect.
fantastic.
Didn't they have like 8 of them on the N64?
Yeah, I
wanna say
think
there was
so.
8 just on the N64.
But those are
alone.
perfect examples of something where you can't be
Tied-
you can't
be tied to the
knock
graphics.
Nintendo for something when you're still playing 64. You can't knock them for that, but I think you have to kind of knock them a little bit because they kind of are refusing to go forward with what everyone else is doing, which is
I don't knock
admirable.
them for that, really. I just think that they realize that they aren't going to compete with Sony and with Microsoft
But-
when it comes to
but
that
could they,
kind of
though?
stuff. But they don't want to. They have their own market, and that's why they can keep the cost down a little bit on their consoles, but still keep selling the games that they have just the distinct rights to, like all the Mario stuff.
If we step into a world where the Switch flops, how awesome would it be if all those characters and all those stories came to every other console and you didn't have to buy
Well,
Nintendo?
to that point, and I can actually maybe ask you guys both a question really quick. Is to that point, Nintendo's already slowly releasing that a little bit. I mean, you can download that Mario Run game on iOS now.
Fantastic.
And
game,
they're
by the
going to be,
way.
Yeah.
I
actually
paid for it. I paid the
spent
$10.
a lot of time pooping playing that game.
It's a great pooping game.
Yeah, it's fantastic. Well, it's just like Temple Run, but way better because it's Mario.
Yeah.
But it's going to be released on Android here pretty soon if it's not already.
I want to say it's in the middle of March.
Yeah, you're pretty quick. But to your point of your argument with the price point and how you were talking about the power and whatever Nintendo can offer as far as output for the game, is I understand where you're coming from. Is well, they're only charging $300 because they're not pushing out a very powerful system, but are they really doing that because it's not very powerful, or are they doing it because all the accessories you have to buy to make the Switch really work the way they advertise are absurdly expensive? If
Yeah,
you
that
look
is
at
true.
the,
That's
Kinda how
the
it's- that's kinda
controllers
how
are what
Nintendo's been doing it.
controllers
for a
are
long
what
time.
$60-$70. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
for a
when it's all said
Joy-Con,
and
you're
done,
looking at, like,
if you want that experience they gave you in the commercials, all the things that we not commercials but pre-advertisement,
Nintendo
it's
definitely
$500 system.
for a very long time. Nintendo's been going with like they have a lower price point for their starter console, but they don't ever tell you that like if you actually want to play these games and you actually want to play with your friends, then you have to spend the extra, which is going to amount to $250 for all the controllers and all the accessories and everything
Exactly.
else that's going to come with it. if
Holy
you actually wanna play.
shit. I don't mean to interrupt you, but
No,
that
go
is
ahead.
the Joy-Con
did, though.
controllers. The standard
I saw
Joy-Con
that, yeah.
controller is $80
Exactly. That's
compared
exactly
to
my
an
point.
Xbox, which is 50.
So
and a
Add
PlayStation
that
4
all
is
up.
$50 for a
I mean,
controller.
you're gonna probably want a couple for friends.
That's
At least
ridiculous.
you and one other person. That's all of a sudden a $500 system. Are they really doing you any favors?
Well, and they're also going
No.
for like a lot of more gimmicky things. Like they have the tablet that basically docks at the Nintendo Switch docking station, which goes to your TV. But then you can take it on the go with you, and
Which is
and you
cool.
drop it down. Yeah, it's a very cool idea. And those little Joy-Con controllers, like you were saying, they're $80, but they're actually if you take them on the go, you can use them as
You
two
can
controllers
for certain games.
for certain games.
For
Like
certain
there's like a
and
draw
we don't know.
game
I mean, it's a very cool idea, but we don't know how well that's going to work with everything. And I've also heard that the battery life is pretty bad on those iPads. Like, and it's like 40%, or like you get a couple hours.
Yeah, you're
worth.
getting maybe
No.
like on Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, you're bound to get about 3 hours of screen on time.
See, what I read earlier today, right before we did this, actually, was they're estimating anywhere between 4 and 6.
For any game, but for a high
something that's running
for a
like
high
A high
intensive
resolution game, yeah.
because this is a high intensive game, like graphics wise, they were saying 3 hours, which is, I guess you could say in the middle, but
Yeah, and I mean, I'm going to reserve a lot of my reservations until I actually get my hands on
Reserve reservations.
I did say that. I just said that.
I'd like
you're
to
gonna hold
reserve,
your reservation.
Hold
to
my
reserve-
reservations.
Reserve some reservations.
But I'm reserving my judgments, is what I meant to say. And I actually really want to see how this game or how this actually plays. I mean, I think it'll obviously look good, but I mean, Nintendo's always been behind. Like they didn't have an HD console until they had the Wii U. Whereas, I mean, Sony has been there since PlayStation 3 and Xbox since the 360. So they were about 8 years behind on that.
Yeah, if you look generationally when they come out, yeah.
Like they literally didn't have until the Wii U. They didn't have HD.
But the kind of games that they offer don't require that, so it's understandable from that standpoint. Because if you've played any of the games, like NBA 2K, any of those sports games, none of those all play in that lower resolution, but they're not going for the hardcore gamer They're going for.
Well, I don't think that's just
they're
a
going
hardcore
for-
gamer that's going for the higher resolution, the higher frame rates.
I'm saying what Nintendo's going for is that they're going for kids. Their demographic is definitely probably I don't know whatever the age group would be 8 to 14.
Well, it's a mixture
13.
of kids and it's also
Families.
it's families, but it's also just like nostalgia seekers people who love Mario. I mean, I always love Mario. That's what I wanted to get into next was the games that we're actually excited for, and we're right now as of now. I don't know. Did you have the actual launch?
I do have the launch here. I was trying to look up because when he brought up the fact that you're gonna have to pay for, things to play with the system. The system itself comes with 32 gigs of memory. I know you both have Xboxes. I have a PlayStation 4. I have about 8 games right now, and I'm maxed out on space
Yeah, well,
with 500 gigs
I'm not
of space.
stupid, and I have a 3 terabyte hard drive.
Which
That
I'm
is
super excited.
easily-
PlayStation is bringing support to in the next couple weeks.
Oh,
So excited! For
What
that.
is that, Joel? A few years later.
Yeah, welcome to 2012.
Yeah, 2012. Whatever. Talk to me when you guys have some really good, actually worthwhile exclusives. Horizon Zero Dawn coming out the 28th. For launch games, on the day of launch, we got 1-2 Switch, which I was listening to Kind of Funny Games today, and they may have changed my mind on 1-2 Switch. I talked mad shit on 1-2 Switch for the longest time.
Is
when I
that
first heard
where you can duel?
Yeah, it comes with 24 different
It's
mini
basically
games,
You remember that
Wii Sports? Like-
yeah, they had Wii Sports. It's
but
like that.
it doesn't come with it. You have to pay $40 for it. That's something that kind of sucks.
So now we're talking 300 plus 40. So now we're at
Want a
340.
second controller, another 80.
So now we're at $420.
So we're all going in on this and making it a company purchase, right, guys?
Well, I'm sure shit not going to buy it by myself. I am not excited about this
I'm not
console enough
that
to buy
excited
it.
about it. to
Not
buy
that
it.
excited.
You know what I am excited for on this list of games that's coming out soon is Zelda.
Well,
Easily, probably one of my favorite franchises of all time.
I was thinking
I
about
love it.
and
I
I was like,
tattooed it.
why do I like Zelda so
arm.
much? Because I've never finished. I thought that I never finished a Zelda game. I didn't finish Majora's Mask. I didn't finish.
Stupid.
I didn't finish. Was it Ocarina of Time?
Stupider.
I know it was very stupid of me, but I was like, why do I feel this this tie to Zelda? And it's because I thought about it, and I believe it was the one on SNES. It was
Yeah.
on Link in Time, right?
yeah, Lincoln Time.
That was the very first game that I ever beat from start to finish. I didn't
Really?
have any help, no nothing.
That's the
And I
first
was like,
time you felt that
that rush, and it just like I'm not even kidding. This literally happened when I got home because I was listening to a podcast on the way here, and they were talking about the new Zelda game, and I was like, why do I feel this connection to Zelda when I've never finished one of the games? And I was like, oh shit, I did. It's the first one I ever did. I want to. I don't even know how old I was. I was young. It took me months upon months upon months to get to the point that I beat it, but I did. And now I realize that's why I've always had this tie to that story.
That might actually be one of the first games I think I ever beat too. The one that I just is most memorable and probably the one that I had the most fun beating was Ocarina of Time. That's why when you said you hadn't played it.
No,
didn't finish
I
it.
didn't finish it because my brother.
I played that like
my
2
brother had
years
it,
ago and beat it again.
and I would just like grab my flute and I'd call my horse. And I just ride the horse for like hours on end.
Because that was a thing. That probably one of the first like massive open map games like that too.
Yeah, it was at the
Which
birth
was
of
almost
open
annoying
world.
because do you remember how long that would take to get like across?
Oh, and it was
Like,
so
it would
empty.
be Sunday and then sunset by the time you got to
By
the
the
other
time you
side.
got across the map.
Yeah, it was pretty great. I honestly but I'm with you. I actually was never that big into Zelda. I did beat the oh god, you just mentioned it.
Ocarina of Time.
No, not Ocarina
Link-
of Time.
Link
to
in
the
Time.
Past.
Link to the Past.
Link to the Past, yes. That was one of the early ones I beat too. And I've always been a Nintendo fan because that was the first console my family owned, and that's the first thing I remember. Like some of my earliest memories were staying up all night trying to beat the Ninja Turtles games downstairs because you couldn't save, so you had to either leave the console on, or you had to actually continue on
Which
try
do
and
you remember
go
how
all night.
resilient those games were? You could leave a Super Nintendo on for days
Yeah.
and it wouldn't overheat or shut down.
I honestly was exclusively Nintendo all the way through the GameCube, and
So was I.
Yeah, and
Which the GameCube is, I think, grossly.
a lot of my friends were very much into the PlayStation because they were the first to adopt the discs and everything like that, and they had a lot more versatility. But I was just I couldn't live without new Mario and new like the Smash Brothers franchise, especially.
Oh
has
god,
been,
we
that's
played
been,
all through college. We played that,
yeah, the N64. I mean, I was
or Mario Kart.
yeah, or Mario Kart, you know, but Smash Brothers was my favorite game for years, and I was Kirby all the time, and everyone hated me because he's that dickhole. Yeah, he's that dickhole who would suck you up, but then you would knock him off the map, and he could also kind of fly,
All the way back.
slowly get back, and then turn into a block right on top of your fucking head.
Game & Watch was where it's at. Like if
Game
you-
and Watch, I fucking hated you with Game and Watch.
Well, if you ever
he's such
looked
an
at-
asshole because he moves so ticky. Like he literally moves frame by frame, which is kind of his shtick. But it was also just incredibly frustrating to fight because you couldn't see him moving into moves.
I also
Like,
was
you could
just
see him
like
actually
I was also
flowing.
just absurdly good with him though. If you
You
ever
were,
looked at
and it was very
if
frustrating.
you looked at the power play the strategy guide games and stuff like that, he was
Yeah.
always one of the worst rated characters. So if you played with him, the book would tell you he's not a very good character, but you just have to be really good with him. And I was just stupidly good with him.
yeah, but
Dude, I would play
with the
online
original
and
N64 though.
beat people.
The original N64, the best player I've ever seen on that was Shockley. He was Jake Shockley was with Pikachu, which was a very ridiculous character in the original.
And it was
the
a thing
Super
that you
Smash
couldn't
Brothers.
push in a software update to fix.
Yeah.
That he needed
He just had
nowadays he would
these
have been
OP
nerfed.
moves, and yeah, he would be nerfed in nowadays, but he had these OP moves, and Jake was just so good with them.
But which is funny because
Kicked
when
my
they could
ass.
nerf him, when they finally made the Wii, that's when Jake wasn't very good with him anymore.
Yeah,
And then
that,
he would get pissed that we cheated.
but that was kind of why, like, I only bring that up because I've just always had such a place in my heart for those kind of games because they were what I grew up with first, and I didn't switch to the Xbox until about 2004. Okay, so
Obviously.
what are you guys excited about for the actual Switch? Like, I mean, we've talked about a little bit about our reservations, but like, what really excites you about it?
3 words: Mario Kart 8.
Yeah.
That's it.
It's good enough. That's
I've always loved the Mario Kart games, and I've missed them so much since my departure from Mario.
I
or from
recently,
Nintendo.
and I think I posted this, but I recently saw someone actually posted the rules for Drunk Driver. Remember we used to play that?
yeah.
We used to play that in
You
college.
tagged me in that.
Yeah,
if you haven't played it, by the way, it's a
Yeah,
good way
basi-
to get drunker and shit. Real
basically
fast.
all you do is you race your friends in Mario Kart, and when you are racing them, you also have a beer, and
Which
basically
you
the
can't
only
crack that beer until the race starts.
you can't crack it till the
And
race
you can't
starts.
touch it either.
And the only real rule is that you can't touch the beer while touching the controller because
can't
you
drink
can't
and
drink and
drive.
drive.
In real
so-
life or in the video game.
So you have
Don't do either.
and you also have to finish the beer before you finish the race. And so you can do that any way you want. You can chug the entire beer and then race. You can go one lap at a time and then drink a little bit. It's however you want
You
to do
can
it.
get to the finish line and chug it at the
But
end.
I just saw that randomly on Facebook that someone posted that, and I was just like, I thought that was our game. I thought we made that up at some point, but maybe it was just this like massive thing that just
I thought
that
we
made
did-
that made its way around.
Well, I don't think we saw from anywhere. I think we made that up ourselves. Whether it was a thing.
Well,
or
I mean,
not.
there's parallel thinking. Like parallel thinking
yeah,
happens
the-
all the time. And so
it
I
was,
think
it
that's-
was
I
just
think it's
incredible
a-
to me to
a
actually
perfect
see
case of that.
someone made like a whole rules list and this like graphic of it and everything like that. I was like, I really thought we made that up. I'm excited for the possibility of a new Smash Brothers, which they haven't announced yet. But I mean,
it's
it's
gonna
Nintendo.
There's no way they're not.
There's no way they wouldn't.
They like money.
Yeah, and Smash Brothers, it's only gotten. I mean, honestly, like with the Wii U, it got a lot better in some senses. I loved the Wii U Smash Brothers. I just
It
never
didn't get a
really
very
did
good
play
rating
it
when
that
they had
much.
Brawl on the GameCube.
On the GameCube.
And I thought that was probably one of my more favorite ones. And that controller
I thought Melee
was probably.
GameCube.
Was Brawl was the
Brawl
Wii
was
U.
Wii.
Or Brawl was the Wii.
Oh, you're right. It was
And then
Melee. You're right.
Wii U just went back to.
I loved
Smash
it though.
Brothers.
The controller that it came with, I thought was awesome. I loved the controller because the C stick did all your other moves if you wanted to. You actually had jump buttons, everything, and it got so much shit. But then when you wanted to play the new Smash Brothers, that was one of the controllers you could buy. But for that game, the perfect controller, and that's why they remade it for the Wii. They made the backwards compatible adapter for it, which both were hard to find. You couldn't. It was really hard to find the controller. You had to order it. or pre-order it or wait for it on a back order. And those adapters for a long time you couldn't find anywhere.
Yeah. It was a good controller for that sense, but I mean, we played a lot of Smash Brothers. Mike's was the only place I ever played tournaments, and I was just mediocre at best.
I know. I went
that
over there and played a Game & Watch. Pissed everybody off because it was way too good with them.
Yeah. But anyway, that's what I'm excited for.
Zelda. I can't wait.
Zelda's
And
gonna be awesome.
Nintendo's dumb. They made it compatible with the Wii U, so that thing's about to get dusted the fuck off, and I'm gonna start using it because I can't wait.
If they didn't have Zelda, they really wouldn't have shit for like games on the launch console. Like they would.
Oh, they
Zelda,
would. They would
Zelda,
have it. Like I'll go through the games launching on
The
March
Splatoon
3rd.
thing we talked about earlier, I
Not
played
coming
that.
out.
Yeah.
In
it's not
It's
on
not a
release?
launch. So launch, you got 1-2 Switch, which, like I said, I talk shit on. I kind of take it back. We'll see. There's 24 mini games. We'll see what happens.
I'm sure it'll be fun. Nintendo always has really fun room games.
Yeah.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Then they got The Binding of Isaac,
Don't know
Afterbirth Plus.
don't
No
know what
idea.
it is.
Just Dance 2017.
I-
You can
those
get that
games
on
were
any other
stupid.
game.
Yeah, you could
Or
have
any
played
other
that.
game
You could
system.
play on the Wii. It'd be
Human
fun.
Resource Machine, which is just I don't even know.
What is
I Am Setsuna that came out 2 years ago on Xbox and PlayStation 4. The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild, the only one worth a damn. Little Inferno, don't know what it is. Skylanders Imaginers for kids. Super Bomberman R, very cool. Not a strong launch title. It's cool. It's a throwback, but
Yeah, I
I
remember
don't think it's a good
Bomberman.
launch title. And then World of Goo, something I can get on this and take to the shitter at any time. And something much smaller and easier to do while
Something that
shitting.
also sounds really gross.
I'm just saying.
It doesn't sound
World
much
of
fun.
Goo.
World of Goo.
I mean, realistically, I guess we could probably say that we're not super excited about the console one because we're not blown away by power, resolution, any of that stuff. There's a handful of games we want to play. Half those games, probably 3/4 of those games you just listed, I don't know what they are, but
Snipper Clips, which I've heard good things about, is supposed to come out in March 2017.
well, then when I said Splatoon, that's
But
it did
honestly-
really good on the Wii U. So
honestly,
I'm assuming
when
once
the-
they release it and it's a revamped version of it on the Switch, it's probably gonna. I mean, they do.
It's not even a. It's not even a.
Stuff with
It's
it.
not
Yeah,
a
that's what-
relaunch.
that's what
It's
kinda
it's actually Splatoon 2. I thought it was a relaunch.
Oh,
what
it's a
kinda
new-
But
drives
it's
me
actually number 2 altogether.
Kind of drives me crazy about Nintendo though is that like they are already sold out before this thing even launched.
It's been sold out for.
It's been
Because
sold out
they
for
control it.
but at the same time they have no launch titles. Like why are people buying this? Like unless you want to play Legend of Zelda, which you can also play on the Wii U.
I think it's
then
people.
why?
It's people like me. It's people like me. It's people like you that didn't buy it previously.
Do you think we might be slightly biased because we grew up with Nintendo, so we know Sonic and Mario and Zelda, and kids these days, that's not what they know.
I think the biggest thing about
Like,
it
think about
is-
it. Go ask a 10-year-old right now if they and name the 5 most the 5 characters they know for that Nintendo does. I guarantee you wouldn't be the
I'll
same
trust-
5 we know.
Trust me, I live with a 10-year-old and he is his his view on games is way different because of things like Twitch and YouTube where you can actually for the games you can't buy or your parents won't buy for you, you can just sit and watch people play.
so crazy.
So maybe our bias is just
If we
our-
want,
our- it's
but
our
if we
generation.
wanted to do that as kids, we just go over to a friend's house whose parents would buy it for them.
Yeah.
But now they can
Does
just
your
do that
nephew even have a
online.
bike?
Yes, he does.
Does he? I feel like kids don't even have bikes these days anymore.
No, they still have bikes.
I'm sure shit.
That's-
No, he doesn't put cards in there or cans and make it sound like a motorcycle.
Hey, we'll all see what happens in about 12 days. Nintendo Switch is going to launch.
Well,
Moving on.
Once we do get one, we'll have whole new views on this.